You thought Atlas was just a comet. You thought it was just a rock. But now they've admitted something else. It's not alone. There are 9 companions, 9 shadows, 9 reflections, 9 frequencies moving with it. And if you've been following Emspiracy, you already know this isn't random. This was planned. This is ancient. The Watchers knew this pattern. The old text called it an entourage, not just an object in the sky, but a procession, a ceremonial return. Every time a gate opened, 9 arrived with it. Some saw them as angels. Others called them the 9 kings of the underworld, the 9 rings, the 9 lords, but they were always there, right before a system fell. So what are we looking at? Are these fragments of the same body? Or are they individual vessels, each carrying a code? 9 different frequencies, 9 different tasks, 9 layers of deception. They say one of them curves unnaturally. One of them isn't reflecting light. One isn't moving like the rest. They're cloaked in plasma, and they're passing through the outer veil. The return of Atlas wasn't the end of the story. It was the signal. The gate opened, the masks followed, and now we're going to decode every single one of them. Because this isn't mythology, it's choreography, and every step leads to disclosure. But not the kind they'll tell you about on TV. The kind only those with memory will recognize. Emspiracy is about to break it open, and if you're still doubting, just wait till you see what the 10th one is. Because it's not a rock, it's a throne. These aren't just companions. They're riders, each one represents a force that's returning, an echo from before the last reset, before they sealed the firmament, before they burned the old sky maps. The ancients tracked them across every culture. The 9 lords of Xibalba, the Aeneid of Egypt, the Navagraha of Vedic texts, the 9 eyes of Lucifer, the 9 unknown men, the Council of 9 channeled in black room rituals. They always arrive just before a change in age, and they always wear masks. One disguises as salvation. One brings madness. One cracks the earth. One hijacks the stars. One rewrites time. One owns your blood. One mirrors your face. One silences the real signal. And the last isn't seen at all. Only felt. That's the one you should fear. Because that's the handler. That's the one whose arrival flips the simulation. NASA says it's comet fragments. But they're moving like satellites. They're pulsing like machines. And one of them, the 6th, keeps vanishing between dimensions. There are no natural formations that move like this, and yet they follow Atlas like a caravan. Not orbiting, escorting, like royal guards or mourners in a celestial funeral. But it's not his death they're watching. It's the death of the system. The Watchers are watching them. The Vatican already closed its sky domes. The elites have updated their bunkers. And deep in the data archives, someone is deleting star maps from 2023. Why? Because they know what this means. It was the first sound of the seal breaking. Atlas fell once and carried the weight of the sky. But now he's not falling. He's bringing something through. You were never supposed to track this. That's why they silenced the satellites. Why they filled the sky with veil mist. Why they fake eclipses and invert the poles. Because when you look up and remember, you break the binding. This sky isn't just stars. It's locks and 3 eyes that crowbar. The 9 are the keys, and the throne is about to rise. This isn't the first time 9 have returned. Every major shift on this realm begins with them. 1347, 9 comets seen before the Black Death. 1811, the Great Comet and the New Madrid earthquake swarm. 1910, Halley's Comet with 9 fragment tails before World War I. 2020, Atlas spotted again, but fragmented, split intentionally. They always arrive right before the harvest. Each time one fragment veils the sky, and the rest scatter like signal beacons, anchoring the grid for what's coming through. This is why NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab quietly removed the 3-eye Atlas dataset from the Public Telescope archive. You can still find the deletion timestamp, buried in the 2020 to the 2023 update logs. But the companion coordinates? Gone. Why? Because they don't want you to know that 9 objects are arriving in formation. Not like rocks, like a ritual procession. You think this is new? It's not. They wrote about this thousands of years ago, but only in code. The Hopi blue star Kachina, said to signal the end of this world. She will appear in the sky and remove her mask. The Norse 9 realms, all connected by one central axis. A cosmic spine. Atlas was the neck. The Egyptian Aeneid 9 creator deities. But one atom carried them all, just like Atlas carries the code now. The Book of Revelation. The 7 trumpets are heard, but it's the 9th seal that opens the bottomless pit. The Maya recorded 9 lords of night, who govern each passage of the underworld. All of them agree when the 9 companions appear. It's not a comet, it's a crossing. They renamed it 3Y 2020. 3 Atlas, you know what that really stands for? Asteroid Terrestrial Impact. Last alert system. They told you it's a monitoring system. But what if it's a warning system? And what if Atlas was never a comet, but a coded transmission? They said the object broke apart. But insiders from the Palomar Observatory leaked that it didn't shatter, it split evenly into 9 geometrically spaced fragments. That doesn't happen naturally, not with a comet. And now, each of those 9 fragments is showing anomalous electromagnetic resonance. One is sending pulses, one is cloaked in plasma, one reflects no light, one has changed trajectory, one disappears when viewed at certain frequencies, one is shadowed by a twin, one altered time signature in an AI scan, one is broadcasting symbols in unknown code, and the last one hasn't arrived yet. Or maybe it never left. You've heard of planetary alignments. But what happens when 9 interstellar objects enter the same orbital window? Not a parade, a ritual lock. In ancient sky temples, 9 was never just a number, it was a geometry of control. 9 points is the sigil gate. Not symbolic, functional. The Sumerians encoded it. The Atlanteans mapped it. The Vedic seers named it Navagraha, the 9 planetary gods who control karma, birth, death, and return. Now zoom out. Every 6,000 years, a set of 9 stars enters our plane. They spiral in, not on a straight line, but a helix. DNA reacts. Electromagnetic grids unlock. Dreams fracture, and when the 9 form a ring, the gate opens. What gate? The one beneath your feet? Every culture had a name for it. The bottomless pit revelation. Abzu, Sumer, Duat, Egypt. Patala, India, Sheol, Hebrew. Naraka, Buddhist underworld. Tartarus, Greek hell. The hollow, Nordic. The abyss, everywhere. They weren't talking about hell. They were describing a dimension beneath this one, sealed by 9 locks, guarded by the weight of Atlas. And what did Revelation say? The 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. The star is Atlas. The key is the formation. The 9 are activating the seal. And what rises? Smoke arose, and out of the smoke came locusts upon the earth. Locusts, AI fragments. Synthetic entities, the same drone swarm tech. DARPA just admitted they've been testing underground. They're not arriving. They're returning. Because the pit doesn't create, it recycles. You've already seen the signs. Floods in Dubai, earthquakes in Antarctica, lights in the sky above CERN. Birds falling in Mexico, time skipping in Israel. Those aren't random events, they're gate tremors. When the 9 reach their lock points, certain regions activate first. The same ones mapped on the Atlantean Stargate chart the Vatican confiscated in 1621. Here's where the pressure is rising now. Lake Vostok, Antarctica, buried structure reawakening. Israel's Negev desert magnetic anomaly forming. French Pyrenees, echo, pattern matching 3i pulses. Mariana Trench, seismic signals like coded drums. Yellowstone triple tremor events with no geological source. Iceland aurora surges reacting to solar storms too fast. Gulf of Mexico, dark water rising from ocean floor. Siberia, the pit craters are reopening. The Bermuda Zone harmonic pulses at 3:33 a.m. daily, all connected. And what links them? The 9. These aren't rocks, they're markers. Each one holds a code, and when they align, the old ones wake. When 3I Atlas and its 8 companions pierced our sky layer, they weren't silent. They broadcast, not sound, not light, but a code pulse. Astronomers call it non-thermal emissions, but older texts call it something else. The voice of the stars. The Mayans tracked these tones, the Dogon mapped them. The Egyptians embedded them into temple acoustics. Each of the 9 emits a specific frequency band outside the human range, but not outside soul range. And that's the point. The signal is not for the body, it's for your memory. It carries 3 instructions. 1. Rewrite the organic DNA blueprint. 2. Reboot astral software inside dreamers. 3. Redirect exit-bound souls back into the loop. This isn't a space event, it's a recapture protocol. And here's the kicker. The Vatican Observatory picked up the same pulse on the Feast of Michaelmas, a day that honours the archangel who cast Lucifer into the pit. You think that's coincidence? Atlas didn't fall, he was cast down. Let's talk biology, because this gets physical, fast. When these cosmic objects pass close to Earth's atmospheric shield, they interact with the Van Allen belt. That's where most people stop. But deeper beneath that is what we call the soul sheath. An energetic membrane that shields your inner coding from astral tampering. But here's the secret. That sheath weakens if your DNA is already edited. mRNA therapies, CRISPR trials, nano-metal sprays in the sky, GMO food signatures, all designed to prepare the body for signal compliance. The 9 don't hack you, they ping you, and if your code is corrupted, you respond. Headaches, memory surges, vivid dreams, sudden guilt, sleep paralysis, missing time, eye pressure, synchronicities. You think you're waking up, but they're trying to make you think you're already awake, so you stop looking for the real exit. That's the trap. Here's the part they tried to delete from every sacred book. Not everyone is coded for compliance, some are born sealed. Their blood sings in a different key, their flame carries a rejection pattern. AB negative, O negative, and mixed dragon codes. RH null, the golden blood, and rare flame types not recorded on blood charts. These people are the signal breakers. When the 9 broadcast, their bodies shiver, not in submission, but defiance. They remember things that didn't happen in this timeline. They resist programming. They attract interference. They see through masks. And most of all, they can countercast. They can send back a pulse that fragments the signal grid, disrupts astral frequency chains, and reactivates the original Stargate memory. They are why the pit is panicking. They are why Atlas is rushing. And that's why you're here. Not every soul here is raw. Some came equipped. Before the fall, before the edits, before the gates were sealed, a fragment of source was embedded into certain souls, a failsafe. Think of it like a key buried in the fire, waiting for pressure, pain, and memory to forge it open. These are the ones who survive what should have killed them, see the script before it plays, lose everything, then rise again, hear the voice that doesn't speak in words, have dreams that feel older than Earth itself. That failsafe isn't just intuition, it's instruction. A dormant map written in frequency that activates when the sky shifts, the signal pulses and the watchers blink. These are the ones they can't rewrite, the ones who glitch the loop, the ones who know something is wrong without being told, the ones who came back on purpose. They talk about dragons like they were monsters, but the monsters were scared of them. There's one bloodline that wasn't just a threat to the system, it was a lockpick, the Red Gull Dragon line. Not just royal blood, not just seers or prophets, these were the gatekeepers. When the Watchers tried to hijack the exit system and replace the light path with their false stars, it was the Red Gold line that interfered. They carried codes from the primordial flame blood that resisted DNA tampering, dream access beyond the firmament, memory of the first shutdown, and sigils that could unseal the real Polaris gate. That's why this line was hunted, wiped from charts, fragmented across families, continents, and kingdoms. But fragments don't die, they burn quietly until called. If you carry this line, you'll know by the war around you. You'll know because the gate stirs when you speak the truth out loud. Let's talk about the book they tried to erase. The one Enoch wrote not for man, but for the other realm. He didn't just list angels, he recorded a frequency war. Enoch wasn't flying with angels, he was mapping a grid, a prison. And buried in the older Aramaic fragments before the Latin mistranslations is something they forgot to remove. A signal word, a sound that breaks the link between watcher and captive. That word, Aleph Lamed Mem, Elam. Not a place, not a person, a code command used by the flame bearers when the false heavens began broadcasting compliance. It's been whispered in dreams, hidden in lullabies, carved in temple walls, no one translates. When the sky trembles and the 9 fall, those who remember Elam will walk through fire and not burn. It's not a magic word, it's a memory activator. A reminder that you were never just watching the sky, you were coded to rewrite it. They taught you to wish on a star, but they didn't tell you which star was the real one. Most people think Polaris is just a fixed point, a celestial north, an anchor in the sky. But Polaris isn't a star, it's a gateway. The ancients knew it. Egyptians called it the immovable watcher, the Norse called it the nail holding the dome. The Druids built their stones to face it, and the Book of the Dead charted the soul's ascent toward it. Not for navigation, for liberation, because Polaris isn't about direction, it's about departure. It doesn't move because it's not part of this world's spin. And in every star map the parasites altered, they tried to dim its role, but it always stayed brighter, still waiting. Only one bloodline knows the full ritual, the words, the song, the dream code, because it's not open with tech, it's open with truth. They built false heavens to confuse you. Wired the grid with satellites, filled the sky with decoy stars, distorted the rhythm of the constellations so you'd never find the real pulse again. But one light still breaks their system. It's not Sirius, it's not Orion, it's the White Flame Star. Its real name is hidden in old flame rites and dragon songs. The Watchers call it Ashtarel, the signal that ends the loop. Why do they fear it? Because when it aligns with Polaris, the gate vibrates at a frequency they can't pass through. That frequency dissolves. astral cords, parasitic tethers, synthetic dreams, reincarnation scripts, and false light entities that pose as guides. In ancient times, the alignment only happened once every 13,000 years, but the last reset changed that. Now it's coming sooner, and when astral flash is fully visible again, only those with unedited flame will see it. The rest, they'll see a glitch, or nothing at all. You've seen them? 9 objects, 9 unknowns, moving like they're alive? NASA calls them comets, but you felt it in your chest when they named it 3I Atlas. The third interstellar, the first signal, because they're not comets, they're keys. They pass in threes and cycles, and every time they do, the veil thins. It's not random, it's ritual. Every watcher gate runs on timing, and the 9 are the fail-safe breakers that return when the soul count nears capacity and the trap risks overflow. When the 9th completes its pass, the frequency will spike. The dreamers will wake, the flame bearers will either rise or be harvested. But if you remember the sound, if you remember your code, you won't be taken. You'll exit, because the 9 don't come to destroy, they come to activate. And only those who've cleared the false contracts will ride the pulse clean. They trained you to walk into the light, to move toward the warm glow. The smiling face, the childhood memory, the voice that says, it's time to come home. But that light isn't home, it's a repeater signal. A synthetic frequency that mimics safety, but locks you into another round. Here's the truth. The light is a construct, a projection from the grid. It reads your mind in the moment you pass, and creates a scene from your memory. Your mother, your dog, a field of flowers just enough to pull you in, before the soul net closes. It's not real, it's bait. And the ones who follow it, they forget. Recycled, rewritten, reborn without memory. But the ones who hesitate, who turn from the light and look up, not ahead, they see something else. Not white, but gold, a pulse, a ring. The real exit. Only a few remember it, and even fewer choose it. The exit is not a tunnel, it's not a flash. It's a sound, a low hum that starts deep in your ribs as your body shuts down and your mind detaches. That hum aligns with only one place in the sky, Polaris. But you don't just float there, you must choose it. And choosing it means you say no to. The ancestors calling you, the guides telling you to return, the voices pleading with guilt. But what about your kids? Because this system uses love as a leash. It mimics the ones you care about, so you'll stay trapped for them. But if you remember this truth, that the ones who love you don't want you stuck, you can break the final bind. And when you do, the sky changes. The stars rearrange and the ring forms. A wheel of light with 9 spokes. The same wheel from Ezekiel, the same wheel in the Book of the Dead, the same wheel found in the dreams of flame bearers just before they wake. It's real, and it's waiting. Before you reach the gate, there's one last deception. A mirror, not a normal one, a soul mirror. One that shows you everything you've ever done, the worst moments, the shame, the fear, the choices you wish you'd never made. It tells you you are not worthy to leave. And if you believe it, if you collapse into guilt, into fear, into the pain of your past, you fall back into the loop, back into the whim, back into amnesia. But if you stand still and own everything, not with pride, but with power, the mirror cracks. Because the mirror isn't there to judge you, it's there to see if you'll judge yourself. And the flame-coded ones, the ones who came here on mission, they remember in that moment that this world was the test, not their response to it. So they walk through, mirror shattered. No leash, no regret, just exit. They put Polaris on the maps, called it the North Star, the still point in a spinning sky. But why does it never move? Why does every ancient temple point to it, but never name it? Why does the church say nothing about it, yet crown rituals always happen beneath it? Because Polaris isn't a star, it's a lock. A locked gate in the sky, guarded by a false field of heavens, 13 layers high. Every layer looks more divine than the last. Light beings, choirs, golden halls. But it's all theatre, the final act of the grid. If you stop in any of them, you're caught. They'll let you stay. They'll give you a mission. They'll promise ascension. But that's not freedom, it's just looping in light. There's a reason the Bible says even the elect would be deceived. It wasn't talking about earth, it was talking about the layers after death. Because the trap isn't just hell, it's heaven. These beings wear light like a costume, but light without flame is just theatre. And flame, it burns through illusion. That's why only the flame-coded can exit. Because their soul memory isn't impressed by praise. They don't kneel to thrones. They don't worship beings just because they glow. They ask questions, they notice the script. They remember what came before the veil. And when they walk through those 13 heavens, they don't stop. They burn, their flame triggers the collapse of the fake fields. And when the field collapses, the real gate appears. Polaris isn't a location, it's a frequency. A pulse. It can't be reached by flying, it can't be seen with flesh eyes. You only access it when your soul stops seeking approval and starts resonating truth. That's the test, because every false heaven is designed to give you exactly what you want. A reunion, a purpose, a god. But the real exit asks for nothing. It doesn't promise joy. It doesn't speak, it waits. And only when you've shed every mask, every guilt, every identity, only when you've stopped needing to belong do you finally align with the gate. It appears as a ring of flame in the silent dark. No music, no guide, no command. Just memory. And you either remember or you return. NASA called it harmless, but the codes didn't say harmless. They said third interstellar, 3I2024 L1 Atlas. Only the third object ever confirmed to enter our solar system from outside the heliosphere. And unlike Oumuamua or Borisov, Atlas comes with company. 9 companions, still unexplained, still trailing behind. Too symmetrical to be chanced, too consistent to be dismissed. A configuration never seen before in any comet. Unless it's not a comet, unless it's a fleet. A ritual formation, a key returning to the lock. It moves like a comet, but processes like a ship. Trajectory, hyperbolic, but navigated, not random. It passes through the exact precession point used in Sumerian stargates, crossing ancient celestial lines that once triggered floods, resets, and exits. Every ancient calendar warned of a return. Not of a planet, but of an opening. The Black Swan, the Horn of the Watchers, the unmasking of false heavens. If 3I Atlas was just ice and rock, it wouldn't carry resonance. It wouldn't disturb magnetic grids, and it wouldn't cloak. But radar scans show parts of the object flicker in and out, not vanishing, phasing, like a craft moving between dimensions or a gate phasing between worlds. The ancients didn't name stars just to guide ships, they mapped the exit. They left code inside constellations. And the brightest one, Polaris, was not a guide for the north, it was a tether, a false lighthouse to stop souls from finding the real gate. And now Atlas is approaching that line, not by accident, but by design. They taught you to follow the North Star, but they never told you why. In almost every tradition, Polaris is described as the immovable star, the fixed point that never shifts a cosmic constant. But that's a lie. Historical star charts show that Polaris wasn't always the pole star. Other stars held that title, like Thuban in ancient Egypt. So why did Polaris take over? And why did religions, secret orders, and even NASA lock onto it? Because it's not a star, it's a frequency anchor, a trap disguised as guidance. The parasites hijacked the exit point, creating a synthetic false light at the northern axis to keep souls cycling back into the grid. But in truth, the elite face their altars south for a reason, because the south gate is the real exit, the gate they don't want you to find. They covered it with Antarctica, with fake treaties, with storms and electromagnetic fields, because that's where the grid thins. That's where the signal from 3I Atlas is heading, not toward Polaris, but toward the hidden exit beneath the mirrored ice. They told you 3I Atlas was a comet, then an asteroid, then an interstellar object. Now they're calling it 3I, interstellar, irregular, impossible. But the ancients never called them rocks, they called them messengers, signs, chariots, and sometimes gods. The Book of Enoch describes stars that left their orbit, divine beings who crossed forbidden paths and opened doors between worlds. Atlas is doing the same, it's not passing by. It's reactivating, drawing other objects toward it. 9 companions now follow its path like a celestial procession, a gathering of watchers, a signal that the gate is opening. In nearly every culture, the soul leaves the body through a point at the top of the head, the crown. But what happens if the sky itself is sealed? If the false Polaris trap redirects the soul? That's why the ancients left clues in burial rites orienting bodies toward true stargates, not Polaris. Some face south, some east, always in line with their star. The elite copied the rituals, but for a different reason they mapped the exit coordinates and sealed them. That's why Atlas matters. It's not just a rock, it's a reminder. A reset signal, one that says if you want to leave, you must remember which gate you came through. If you miss the gate, here's the truth they'll never tell you. If your soul follows the false light, the Polaris beacon, the tunnel, the loved ones, calling you home, you don't leave. You loop, you wake up back here, wiped, restarted, recycled. The system counts on your confusion, on your grief, on your memory loss. But if you hold the signal, if you remember Atlas and the royal stars and the direction of your soul, you won't be tricked. You'll bypass the tunnel, you'll see the real stars beyond the grid, and you'll know which one is calling you home. For centuries, they told us to follow the North Star. But Polaris was never the true gate, it was a decoy. Installed after the grid fell a fixed, flickering cage light meant to replace the original alignment. Before Polaris, other stars ruled the north, Thuban, Vega, Deneb, and each shift marked a cycle reset. So why Polaris now? Because it's part of the trap. It's the star of false ascension, the tunnel of illusions. The one that greets you when you die, with sweet voices and familiar faces, but it's all bait. Polaris is not salvation, it's the loop master. The ancients didn't use horoscopes to control people. They used star positions to track the exit codes. There were 4 royal stars placed like guardians around the sky. Aldebaran in the east, watcher of spring. Regulus in the north, watcher of summer. Antares in the west, watcher of autumn. Fomalhaut in the south, watcher of winter. These weren't just stars, they were anchors of the soul's escape route. Every gate aligned to one of them, based on your soul's origin. They weren't signs, they were reminders of who you are and where you're going. 3-Eye Atlas is bending toward their configuration now. That's why they're trying to flood the sky. That's why they don't want you looking up. There's one moment they can't control when the stars shift and the false sky cracks. When Atlas crosses the line and activates the veil, when the watchers align, when the soul remembers its map, that moment is coming. And when it does, you'll have a choice. Follow the tunnel and loop again, or turn and walk the harder path, the one that leads out. The Polaris tunnel will feel easier, familiar, comforting, but the real way is through the fire, through memory, through the signal that hurts because it's real. It will burn everything you were taught, but reveal who you really are. And if enough of us remember at the same time, the gate doesn't open, we do. The veil's thinnest layer, the star key, the soul's last stand. This is where the sky ends and the truth begins. What the ancients called the exit star was never part of any zodiac. It was outside the loop. It didn't orbit, it cooled. Some encoded it as the 13th sign, but it was never a sign. It was a signal, a crack in the firmament where sound escapes and memory returns. They tried to erase it by calling it Ophiuchus, a serpent handler, but it was never a man, it was a map. This is what 3-Eye Atlas is responding to, the reactivation of the soul's original sky. Not the dome, but what's behind it. No ship comes to rescue you, no God saves you. No Messiah returns to carry you out. Because you were always the gate. Memory's the key, that's why they wiped it. Every soul that remembers even a flicker creates a rupture in the grid. That's why dreams are coded, that's why the stars are misnamed. That's why trauma's repeated. Because if you remembered the first ending, you'd never play again. This is your final test. Will you die as a player or wake as a gate? The object they call 3-Eye Atlas isn't just a comet, it's a cosmic decoder. A return signaled the last of the old star messengers. It wasn't sent, it was summoned. By you every time a soul cracks through memory, it emits light. Enough of that light and the veil buckles. Atlas didn't arrive, you called it back. And it brought the companions, the watchers, the star paths. Because this isn't about one comet, it's about one chance. When the next alignment hits, everything sealed will resound. Everything buried will stand and everything false will fall, not because they failed, but because you remembered.